Well, welcome. I am interviewing Mpho Mpofu from Masutane Consulting. This is part of the series of interviews that I've been doing with business owners. And Mpho and I met on a wisdom's chat. And Mpho's insights and energy just kind of really brought so many of those conversations alive. And subsequent to that, Mpho and I have done some work together, which has been really interesting and enjoyable. And so at long last, it feels like we've known each other forever, but actually only a few months. That's the amazing thing that seems to have come out of lockdown. So Mpho, it's lovely to be chatting to you, and would love to hear more about you and your business. Not only because of where you've come from, but so much has happened during lockdown. And I think that's what we're looking for, is this, like, how does this all happen in these extraordinary times that we live in? But let's just go back a little bit and just, share with us something about you've got a passion for market research. That's really the base of your business, and everything that you do revolves around market research. So why is that so important for you? What makes you so passionate about it?
So market research it's such an interesting thing, because one thing always leads to another thing. I refer to it as a navigation tool, because I think most of the time we don't know what we don't know. And market research kind of just help us discover the things that we don't know. And it's more than just things that we don't know, it's possibilities. I think that's, for me, that's been the great thing about market research, that it exposes you to these possibilities. It challenges the way that you think. It pushes you kind of beyond, what you know about yourself, because you are constantly being exposed to not just opportunities, but problems that you can solve. That's what clients constantly discover, that, oh, okay, my goodness, we were looking for an answer to this question, but did you hear that? Did you see that? How about if we do this? It's such a beautiful thing, because you're always just peeling off layers of just opportunities and discovery all the time.
It sounds exciting. I mean, I know practically nothing about market research, which sounds terrible because I'm a business owner myself. So I just scrape the surface. But you make it sound so exciting and so important and necessary. So I think that's the good thing about constantly keeping your eyes open to learn new things. Not only about the concept of market research, and we'll come back to that, but also about what market research can do for you and your business. You've also been on a learning journey, though. I say market research is kind of the constant in your life, but you started in the corporate arena, offering that within various large organizations. But you've chosen over a period of time to run your own agency, consulting agency. So why that? Why did you decide to step out into the brave world of entrepreneurship?
I think it was something that was inevitable. I think it's something that I've known since I was a child, that, like, how could I not want to be like my grandmother? Like, it's just, for me, she's everything that I still want to be. Just remembering watching her run a business, and me sitting on those counters, marking baked beans and cleaning shelves, selling candles. There was just no way that I wouldn't want to be her. But more than that, when I was at Millward Brown, I had this really amazing boss, Kim Hyde, and she used to have this calendar that had pictures of New York. And that was her dream, you know. And we would sit every January and she would plan her whole year. She would book all her holidays, really, really organized. Something that I could never, like I couldn't understand how somebody could be that organized. And she went to New York, you know, her dream came true. And I watched this process while I was working there. I thought, oh my goodness. So, you know, if you plan things and you organize, like, you know, a dream is just it's a goal. You just need to put a plan in place. So she kind of also just crystallized that for me, that, okay, no, it is possible. You know, if this is something that you're meant to do, you must pursue it.
But now, so I love those two very different scenarios, but tell us just a little bit more about your grandmother, because she really is an inspirational person in your life. And I think, you know, if she inspires you, then she can inspire all of us.
Yeah, she was you know, the way I picture her in my mind, she was just a larger than life character. You know, her and my grandfather was the money guy. He was very stingy. But I understand why now, you know. I understand why he had money, because he didn't spend it. So we, you know, would gossip about him that he was like so stingy. But my grandmother, she loved clothes, she loved shoes, she loved headscarves. She loved to travel, you know, she had matching shoes and bags. I mean, she was just amazing. She has like these amazing pictures in Israel wearing these amazing hats. You know, so she lived boldly, but at the same time, she would describe herself as a village girl who was uneducated, you know, and yet for me, I saw this superstar, you know, in my eyes. And then at the same time, she had the ability to transform and just be one with the community. So when she was walking around in the different parts of our shopping complex, talking to people, she knew everyone. She knew their children. She knew, you know, who fell last week and how's the wound this week. She went into people's homes. She delivered things. If people passed away, she was there. She was peeling. She was helping. She was wiping floor. It was just the character. It was really unbelievable. And at the same time, she would be standing in front of people, commanding authority and leading women, particularly, especially in the church. I was raised in the apostolic church. It's a traditional African church. You know, my grandfather was a pastor and she was the pastor's wife. She sang beautifully, you know, but, you know, and she indulged us as her children. She really smothered us. She, you know, she did everything for us. But she was quite strict. She was honest. You know, she would tell you the truth about what is working and not working. And that was the hard part for me, you know, because she was always so nice and loving towards me. She really, like, our relationship was so strong, but she would have to then have those moments to say, this is not right. And that always made me very nervous and uncomfortable, because it took a lot to get her to that place.
I'm so glad to have asked about your grandmother, because what a phenomenal woman, and how beautiful to have this image of somebody who was such an incredible influence in your life, and memories that you can keep going back to as a sort of almost like a touchstone. I feel like saying, yeah, you know, I almost imagine you saying, well, what would my grandmother do? Not that you are being your grandmother, because she's taught you so much about being yourself and being true to yourself, but that there were some qualities and some practices and some behaviors and some ways of living and being in the world that just was so incredible that you were able to say, yes, that's something that my grandmother did, and I'm born of that stock.
Yeah.
And such a great example for us as women too, isn't it? The strong, but women's women. And I love that. I love that.
Yeah, no, she was amazing.
So, Mpho, you've gone through this journey, growing up in the sort of entrepreneurial life that your grandmother epitomized. You saw market research as this vehicle to be able to create possibilities and to learn about the unknown. And you started your own business as an inevitable part of that process. But it's not just business that brings you alive, is it? I mean, when I've spoken to you, where one of the places you come alive is when you're teaching. So what is it about that that's so wonderful for you?
I've always been bothered by this, that people have found their purpose, or what do they say? Live every day like you're not working, or there's some, quotes about, living this full life where work doesn't feel like work and life is just amazing. You just want to go to work every day because it's not work, something like that. And I struggled with that because I always needed a holiday. Like I needed time out. I remember I used to take June and July off, because I would be working so hard, and then I would take time off and I would travel. And that would be my happy place. And I think that kind of like always really bothered me to say, but when do I get to like this place where I don't want to be off? I don't want to be off work. And it happened when I stood in front of a class, and I had to impart knowledge. It was beyond teaching a curriculum, and I think Gibbs would attest to that, because I'm also I don't stick within the lines when I teach, because it's such a spiritual experience for me, so there's just certain things that happen within me that I don't know where they come from, but it's such a natural place for me to be in. So it's about imparting knowledge, it's educating people, but for me it's transforming lives. It's about giving people information, knowledge that they can apply, but challenging people to really interrogate themselves, to say, how do I take charge and change my own life now that I have this information? And I think that's what's great, because I always challenge all the students to say, make a choice today, at this moment and now. Let's say from yesterday you were disadvantaged, everything was taken away from you, you had no fighting chance, but today you sit here and you have this opportunity to learn and empower yourself. What is the choice that you're going to make? I think that's what's beautiful about teaching, and people have made those choices. Some haven't, but people have. They've made those choices and they've changed their lives. How can you not love that?
Yeah, there's definitely something addictive about that. Yeah, absolutely. And something was born out of this love. I mean, you talk about lecturing at Gibbs, and that's something that you do as Mpho, but you saw that you wanted to expand that. So from Masutane Consulting, you've created Masutane Academy. So what is the Academy?
Well, the Academy is that teaching kind of taken onto a larger scale, because there's only so much of me to go around. But what I wanted to create with the Academy, it was a place for people who are interested in market research, especially business owners that want to understand this discipline and to use it to grow their businesses and to develop their business strategies. So the Academy offers market research education through a basic course that we have now that has 11 modules. But beyond that, we want to create a world where people can gain knowledge, learn from others, engage with others, and understand how to apply insights. So we have things like mentorship circles, where small business owners are able to engage with the researchers to understand what they're studying, but also just trends that are happening within the business world. They'll have an opportunity to also engage with the corporate clients that use market research, to understand how do they use it to become bigger. We also have a place where business owners or people who are engaging in the platform can hear stories from other small business owners of books, podcasts, information that has influenced them to become who they are, because we are talking about learning and knowledge, and it's not just a classroom, learning knowledge is all around us. So for them to kind of see from others who are just like them, how they made it, how it is possible. We've also got a section where we've got reports, articles, around what is happening within the business space, especially small business. But articles that we, research reports that we share with our corporate clients, have access to all the time. They use them to develop their own strategies. Now small businesses got access to that. And these are some of the things the mentorship circles will address to kind of say, okay, you're looking at this report, what does it mean for you as a fish and chips owner? What do these trends mean? How can you leverage these trends so that you can differentiate yourself and grow? So I'm incredibly excited about this. And I think you're also going to be adding some interesting components to this world, engaging with other SMEs like you are with myself, listening and understanding their journey and how market research has helped them.
So this is when I introduced you at the beginning, I was saying you didn't let lockdown lock you down, and that this was birthed. I mean, the concept of Masutane Academy was there, but the structure of it and how it's been put together in this online program that's now available on an app, and all these different dimensions that you're talking about, some of them are free, that an SME owner can go onto the platform, they can access those reports and articles and podcasts, and there's a free version of the course itself. I mean, all of that came out of through a process of working with a variety of different people in the course of a few months. And then it only was launched on the 1st of October. So, I mean, how exciting is that? So I guess what I'm saying is what is it about just grabbing the opportunity that's so, how do you see that in relation to making the most of what is in front of you?
Okay, so I'm going to answer that in two parts. I want to take a step back. So wisdom starts. So this is where everything happened. Oh, what a great place. I really loved it. I mean, it's still running now, but I loved being in that environment because every single day I was challenged, and it was important for me for my mental strength during that time. Because it was an awkward time, there was just so much uncertainty. And I think there were limited distractions, like traffic and, going to Pick and Pay, all the other daily things. You were just kind of confronted with yourself and your situation. I think there's a lot of introspection that kind of happened during that time. But what I loved about Wisdom's chats is that it then opened my mind to other people, their view of the world, their experiences, how they are navigating the world, people from everywhere. It wasn't just South Africans. And I think that was great. And I think from Wisdom's also then, I was linked to other networks that were just constantly opening my mind, and very similar to a market research journey, right? Because that's all it is. It's asking a question, then getting an answer. That answer leads to another question, and it kind of unravels like that. So that's how the transformation for me, or the thinking process, was facilitated through those engagements, listening to other people. Trevor is really like amazing. I learned a lot from him, his attitude, his outlook on life, not really minding being the odd man out. I think that's probably the most powerful thing that I got out of him. He really doesn't mind going left when everybody's going right. I'm also that kind of a person. So he kind of ignited that. And then meeting you and, just everything that you do, instantly I knew that you were also a catalyst to this process. And it was a natural thing, because there had been a hanging question of, Gibbs had already asked that, how do we replicate Mpho? That was already a pending question. And then there was the annoyance, when is the book coming out? And I really didn't want to write a book. I didn't want to write a book. And so, so going digital seemed to be like the natural step. It was, we were all on Zoom, everything was happening digitally. And, the research agency was going through a digital transformation process as well. We were talking to developers in other countries. We were developing tools for our own research process internally. So going digital it was the right fit, right? And also, I think, we in market research, they always say a mechanic never fixes his own car, right? Do researchers do their own research around their own businesses? So, so clients were kind of like saying, how, what are we going to do? We can't engage face to face. We need answers. What is the solution? So we also had to go through this process of discovery and going, okay, how do we solve these problems that are emerging? So we were also undergoing our own market research process. And I think that's how this opportunity was seized, because there were problems and they needed to be solved. But beyond just solving them, there were discoveries of other possibilities.
Oh, this is the story that needs to be told. It's just because it's inspiring, but it's also instructive. If people think about putting themselves in situations where they're listening to people different to themselves, that's part of it, isn't it? That you then open yourself to asking the questions. And then exploring where that question takes you to be able to ask the next question. And that you then take action relating to that you don't just stay with the question, but you actually put yourself out there, and that a little bit of pressure, or maybe even sometimes a lot of pressure,
yeah.
the people can actually push you to do things that you wouldn't normally have done, but you do it anyway, and it gets you somewhere further than what you originally envisaged, but that you still remain true to yourself. And I think that remains, I think of that in terms of your book, that the online course wouldn't have come about if you hadn't said, no, I actually don't want to write a book. Of course, we're going to come around that. But that it's still, so it's the pressure doesn't mean that you conform. So I'm picking up so much from what you're saying. So there are two things that I want to ask coming out of what you've just shared now. And the one is, you said that clients were asking you for research, and we were all actually, I mean, we've been thrown into unprecedented times. And now more than ever, we need market research, because we don't actually know our markets. Our markets don't even know themselves, let alone us now exploring, you know. So there's so many questions because there's so many changes. And actually, in the midst of all of this, Masutane has in fact been engaging with, yes, your clients' market, but also SMMEs. You did some research to look at, you know, what is happening in the lives of SMMEs. Won't you just share some of those insights with us about, you know, what were the key learnings that you take away from that research that you did with SMMEs?
Yeah, so that was really exciting for us, because we love small business owners, but to just engage with them and to understand that the journey that they were going through during that time was important to us, you know, because we wanted to be able to say to enterprise development, you know, this is what small businesses are saying, this is what the experiences that they're having. How do we optimize our offerings so that they actually speak to what they need? And interestingly, I think for me, one of the most glaring things that kept on coming back was, you know, this peer-to-peer mentorship that happened during business owners during lockdown, because suddenly it mattered that they spoke to people that were having a similar experience as their own, to know that I'm not alone in this journey, and to then brainstorm and come up with new ideas. So, you know, in the report, we share some of just simple things, like somebody who sells vegetables, a street vendor, then suddenly now is selling via WhatsApp and Facebook, and people are ordering, and, you know, he's now getting in his bakkie or his bicycle and going door to door and delivering. There's one case of a DJ who, you know, he couldn't DJ anymore, and him and the event planner, you know, speaking to friends and family, they were complaining about birthdays, and that, you know, they can't celebrate birthdays, and they started brainstorming, and they came up with a product called Memories, and it's a photo shoot as if you actually had a birthday party. You know, really, really beautiful. And they started marketing that online to say, you can't have a party, but you can have these beautiful images and memories. We will come, we set up everything COVID compliant, and then we take your pictures with your family, we leave you with the cake and the table setting, and off we go. And they flourished. You know, especially around level 4, level 3, they were all over social media, and people were buying into that because people needed to feel some sense of there's some normality that I'm hanging on to, right? And if they hadn't asked the questions, they wouldn't have come to those discoveries and solutions. But I think also the other thing was, you know, small business owners are saying, it's a bit cumbersome to spend a lot of time in class and do these long programs, because what I want to do is actually run a business. Can I not get something that is simple? I can do it at any time, my own pace, you know, it's easy to understand. It's not text heavy. I'm not carrying a big file. Just make it easy for me to consume the content, to understand the content, and to apply the content. So, these are the elements that we're coming out. Issues around red tape, there was a lot of frustration, and that comes from government. So we can also have complex processes. Then it becomes our responsibility to simplify. So these are some of the issues that we're coming through. And for me, that also influence how we structure the academy.
Yeah, so it's lovely that because I think that's the other lesson, right? Is that if you ask the question and you get the answer, what are you going to do with that? How does that change what you do as a result of the answers that you get? Because I actually find sometimes people reject the answer and say, no, that's not the way you should do it. And we stick with our preconceived ideas and our ongoing processes because that's the way it should be done, and our market or our consumers or customers need to comply with what we're doing, and so we get the market research and then we ignore it and do what we want anyway. So yeah, there's I love the fact that you eat your own pudding. And actually learn as you go and then apply it. And this is the other thing that I wanted to ask is that not only have you put this course together, but you've gone on a journey with a couple of mentees and you mentoring some business owners through a market research journey. And you've got a success story or two in terms of that. Why don't you just share one of those stories with us about, where this person started and the journey they've been on and what's happened in their lives in the last few months?
Yeah, I think I'll talk about Bokan because I think what's happening with her is unbelievable. So, we responded to a call from business mentorship and career advancement to come and, be part of the mentorship program. And the mentees actually selected their mentors. And the mentees that we have specifically selected Masutane Consulting because of the market research aspects. And interestingly, they're all farmers, and then from the farm produce, they are then producing other products. So Bogang is farming berries. The progress that has happened on her farm as well, her tunnels are up and running, and then she then makes juice from this. And her idea was to make juices and cordials, but while preparing the recipe for the cordials, she ended up with a syrup, which has become a hit with bars and nightclubs and all of that. She was actually here in South Africa. So she's a Lesotho-based farmer. She was here in South Africa and we met at Tasha's. And while we were sitting there, I then said to her, because there's 3 lessons that I teach all the mentees outside of the market research that have helped me. And, that was, to the truth shall set you free, and the second one is to just ask for what you want, because the worst thing that can happen is a no, it's really that's the only thing that can. So ask for what you want. And that was the lesson for that particular day, to ask for what you want. The last one was to spend less than what you make. That's how you stay rich. So now my grandfather is becoming incredibly relevant in my life. He's becoming the superstar. But, so I said, tell the manager, you've got this product, Tasha's is a potential. So, I challenged her and she did. And interestingly, head office was having a meeting at that particular Tasha's. So they took her syrup, they made strawberry daiquiris with it. They tried it as on their breakfast, and they started giving her feedback about the product and what the requirements would be for Tasha. It was unbelievable. And then while we're then sitting there, one of the managers says, there's a cocktail bar upstairs and we've got a very good relationship and we definitely want you to meet these guys. And she went and they invited her. She spent time with the bartenders. They were exploring with her product, trying it out, giving her all this feedback. But, to cut a long story short, she's got hotels now that are fighting over her, wanting her to be an exclusive provider of her fresh juice, which has improved the recipe. Like, she's got this amazing new addition to it that is just like taking her concept to another level. And she's got some partnerships going. Pick and Pay is interested in keeping her product in Lesotho, and some other retailers have also come through. But one of our clients, having heard the story, who's in alcohol, is like, what's the possibility of a marriage between this syrup and our gin? Because we're going into a cocktail strategy. So, it's right. She made the decision to look for information, right? She went to BMCA. She said, I need a mentor. Then she came to us. We got into a process of asking questions and discovering. And this is what's happening now, right? She was saying to me, I didn't even think this is how it would go. I said, but we don't know, but this shows you that it can go anywhere. Yeah, I love it. I love it so much.
It is, and it is amazing. It is amazing, isn't it? Because it's this incredible interweaving of my choice to learn, the quality of the mentorship that you get, the commitment of both the mentor, because that's your guidance and your choice to commit to this person and what you can share, and then also becomes courage, and her commitment to take the lesson and put it into practice, so ask, yeah, you can teach that, but somebody still has to take that step and go to a perfect stranger. And it's intimidating, isn't it? The manager's passion. I mean, what does it take every ounce of courage in you to walk, and 3 steps or 4, 10 steps across a restaurant can feel like 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
And she did it. And I think it's, and then having that person, that you there, and she knows she's not alone. That's a very, very powerful combination. And then this story is going to be told over and over and over again, and the story's going to tell the story, and it's just going to keep growing.
Bokang is one to watch.
Well, and those who are watching this interview, watch the space, because I am interviewing Bokang tomorrow. So this is the story. We won't. It's lovely to hear it from Mpho's perspective, and now we'll look at the other side of the coin, and we will listen to Bokang's story from the beginning. So a Lesotho farmer to the cocktail queen. I think it's going to be amazing. So Mpho, I mean, so much has happened in 4 or 5 months. What lies ahead? What do you see? Is there a vision? Is there, what do you, this is like just feeling like we're just starting to fly, getting off the ground. So, what is it going to take you to get to into the sky and beyond?
Yeah, the future is looking very interesting because what's a nice way of putting this? I get bored very easily. So I'm always looking for a new challenge. So there is some negotiations in the pipeline with a potential new partner in the business. And I'm hoping before this year is over, that will be concluded. And I think that's going to do wonderful things for the agencies. I think our clients are going to be incredibly excited. But also to making that decision is also about me heeding the call of being a mother. So, you know, running a business is taxing. It requires a lot of commitment, and it can swallow you because it's addictive. You know, but I've got small children, and I need to be a mother to them. So a big part of my future is mothering, and it has become a big goal for me. So there's that happening, that's brewing. And the agency, the academy, you know, for the academy to grow across the continent. I would love for the academy to be a unifier through transformation of minds. I think at the moment there is a narrative that is, you know, making us see each other, Africans, as not one, you know, and there's a disunity amongst us. But I think if we shift the way that we see each other and we start to ask the questions and see the opportunities and see the possibilities of working together, I think that's going to transform our relationships with you know, our fellow Africans. So I would love for the academy to be a catalyst of that. And I think, you know, it's something that I feel very strongly about, that we, you know, for Africa to have its independence, for Africa to really benefit from its natural resources, its beauty, its energy, its vibrancy. I mean, I think about my grandmother. It doesn't get more African than that, you know. All of those things that we have, we kind of missing them because we're constantly focusing on the wrong things. So my contribution to the African story really would be that we start to see each other differently. You know, we start to create ecosystems of empowerment, you know, of peer-to-peer mentorship, growing and transforming lives, because it's become urgent now that we need to change the state of Africa.
Well, I'm excited. I think it's, you know what I believe, because, you know, you talk about being grounded in your family, and the value and the importance of family and of being a mom. And that's, so there's something true and real about that. And then, but we remain in our context, with our dreams and our hopes, and it's beyond my home, into my community, into my country and my continent, that says I'm a person that belongs to this entire ecosystem, and there's something that's not gelling in this place. So what can I do to unify, to bring it together, and that each one of us plays our part, and that Masutane Academy will do what it can to ensure that we grow, and we grow together. And just what an exciting journey that lies ahead. I'm just following in your coattails, and Mpho, I'm holding on at behind, and I'm being dragged along very, very happily. Oh, it's been so good to share with you, and I just so appreciate and value what you bring, and look forward to what lies ahead.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, Leigh. I appreciate it. Always great to be in your presence.
Nice. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.